Live.
Who's there? It's Rahr. Who's there? It's Rahr. Come fill your time, this pot's for all. From the Finger Lakes, join in the call. Learn something new about the Cuca Trail, upstate New York, every episode I tell. Who's there? It's Rahr. Who's there? It's Rahr. It's Rahr.
All right.
Hello.
I am so glad to be back doing this again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, you left us for a while.
I left you for a while.
Way too long.
You can probably suck it up because everybody was supposed to be inside for most of that time anyway.
Most of the time, yeah.
When I went, for anybody who doesn't know, I think most people here know by now that I went to New York City. It was actually in East Elmhurst, which is even kind of where they had a higher rate of everything than the rest of the city for most of the time. But when I went down there, I felt somewhat kind of lucky, despite being in a facility that was full of COVID patients, because I was one of the only people that I knew who was allowed to go see other people in person every day.
Okay.
It's like I don't have to be locked in my apartment. I can actually go out and see other humans every day.
What was it like, Phil, in the city?
Not great. Hey, Rooster. Not great. I don't love the city. Everybody knows I don't love the city.
Nope.
And this confirmed it. I don't really love the city. I did find I had really bad experiences with a lot of stuff, and I had really good experiences with other things. But it makes sense now to me why they have different parts of the city and why the different parts are considered so different. Like whenever somebody says, "Oh, New York City," and they're like, "Oh, that's Manhattan." I'm like, what are you talking about? Like New York City is the whole thing, right?
Right.
Well, it is, but at the same time, when people say New York City and they're talking about Manhattan, it's like you go down there and it's all high rises and it's all like trying to find a freaking spot to park.
Oh, right.
It was so stressful. And actually just driving home at the end of the night, it was like 7 miles and it would take me 45 minutes and that was with hardly any traffic, just trying to navigate through the city. So I'm glad to not be doing that anymore.
So why were you one of the people that got to like go around and see other people? Was it because you were not positive for COVID? Is that what you meant? Instead of being locked away?
No, what I mean is I was going to work every day.
Oh, you mean just from like working down there?
Yeah, I was able to, instead of being stuck in an apartment, trying to figure out what I can do remotely, which I was still doing things remotely from my job, from my regular job. But it was nice to be able to go to a facility and see people in person. So that was it. I mean, and there were a lot of really cool people there. We had healthcare professionals that came from all over the country, a lot of Caribbeans who were immigrants who came to help. They've been living here for a while, but they kind of came down to help in the city. People came from California, Alabama, Florida, Ohio, Louisiana, West Virginia, Ohio.
Wow.
People from everywhere. It was really cool.
How many hotels did you have to switch up from now and again?
I lived in 3 different hotels, and then I spent 12 hours a day working in a facility that was basically a modified hotel. So I spent almost all of my time in New York City in hotels, and it's not a great situation. It's tough, partly because with my diet and with what's going on with all the restaurants there, it's impossible to eat a good meal every day.
So they're not allowed to open inside in New York City? Is that the deal there?
I think they might be doing that now.
Are
I think
they?
they might just be finally doing that now.
Yeah.
I know they were on schedule to be doing it around now. So, but when I was there wasn't. And when I first got there, everything was shut down. So once I got on the highway, it was me and a couple other cars. What should have been rush hour.
Right.
By the time I left there, I was fortunate to have moved to a hotel that was within walking distance from the hotel I was working in. So it was, I didn't have to deal with the traffic, but the people that were coming in from elsewhere were saying that there was a lot of traffic. And I had a view of the highway, and it was starting to really fill up.
So how did you do your meat diet in New York City?
Well, I did have to cheat a little bit.
And how much weight did you lose again? I'm sorry. What was that number you threw at me?
I've lost a little over 40 pounds eating
40
on the carnivore diet. So, and
you look good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I feel good. And it's amazing the difference it makes to, get some of the extra weight off and get going on a diet where you've actually got energy and you're not hungry all the time. So I was a guy who was always hungry and always eating. And once I switched over to eating the carnivore way, it's, you really don't have that.
Well, it's nice that you have your facial hair back too and your hair.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a little,
looks good.
you're looking a little strange, man. Like Mr. Clean style.
I know.
We're not sure what's going on, Bill.
Portia's like, who's that? I'm like, it's Phil.
The guy well, that's the first time in her life that I haven't had a beard.
Right.
So it's understandable that she'd be confused.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you're definitely more handsome with a beard, Phil. So yeah, that's definitely your luck. You definitely need the beard.
And then Jesse cut his hair. And Jesse, do I see some like white on the side? Little gray, little salt and pepper on the side?
Maybe a little here.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah. I love it.
All trimmed up.
It didn't happen until I opened a restaurant and then went gray instantly. Yeah. Horrible.
I can't wait till we can get in the studio.
I can't wait for you to come drink some bourbon in the restaurant there, man. That's going to be fun.
Is it next week, Phil? Next week?
Yep.
Cool.
Do we have a date?
Well, we don't have a date, and here's why.
Okay.
I did get tested for coronavirus before I left the city. Mm-hmm. And that was actually surprising. Everybody keeps asking me, how often did you get tested? That was the only time I got tested while I was there, was on my way out of the city to come back here, because, I've been telling a lot of people down there that, where I live, we don't really have it. It's there, but it's not widespread. And throughout this whole crisis, we've had less than 50 cases. I think it might have just crested that now. But I can't be the reason why that changes here. I can't bring it back here. I can't, be in a COVID facility and then come back here and give it to people. So I made sure to get tested before I left the city. And I did the nasal swab test, not the nasopharyngeal. So the nasal swab is interesting because I thought they were going to be sticking the thing all the way to the back of my skull.
No.
But instead, they took out this tube and they said, okay, take that out of there. And I was like, this is a self-test kind of thing, huh? So they said, take that out of there. And okay, so you grab it. Okay, now stick it like as far up your nose as you can and swirl it around. So they don't expect you to go the 5 or 6 inches or whatever back in. Right. They're happy with 2 inches up your nose and then swirl it around. Unlike, shut up. Anyway, and then I also did the antibody test. So I heard that the results should come back quicker from the antibody test, but I don't know. So we'll see.
So you still don't know if you're tested positive or negative?
Yeah, so I tested. I don't know yet. I can check.
That's really weird. Oh, did they not let you know, or you just didn't want to know?
I think they're supposed to email me, but what I've been doing is I've been checking. I've got an online account through them where it shows a summary of lab results. So if there are any lab results, it should show up there. But they also just told me to wait till after today, and then I could call them. So
It's strange because I know other people who've gotten tested and they got it within like a day.
yeah, I think it's partly just because I was someplace where, no results yet. I was someplace where there were a ton of people getting tested. I thought I was going to die of melanoma standing in line to wait to get in to get my test instead of having to worry about coronavirus because it was about 95 degrees and the sun's beating down, and I thought I was going to be able to walk right in.
Nope. You have
Actually,
a healthy glow.
I went to a part of the city called Corona.
Stop it.
Corona.
I swear to God.
I drank a Corona yesterday. It's so
the
weird.
nearest part of the city that had a testing facility that made sense for me was in Corona. So I went to Corona.
Yeah.
And I stood out in the sun for over an hour waiting to get inside, and then another hour once I got inside.
Wow. So is it fake news that those tests are supposed to be like, they're supposed to be 50% negative or 50% positive? Like it's like 50-50, right? It's not.
You mean that they're not accurate?
Yeah, they're saying like that they're not the great, I don't know, false positive, right? Isn't that what they're saying about it? Like,
yeah, false positives and false negatives.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not the utmost expert on this, but from my understanding is that there are a few different things going on. So when you get the antibody test, what that tells you is whether or not you've ever had it.
Okay.
Right.
And you could have some levels of antibodies just from having the common cold, but once you get up to a certain threshold, that's more specific to actually this COVID-19, right? The swab tests are supposed to be getting more accurate as far as picking it up when it's there, but what they're testing is actually for the RNA. So the genetic material of the virus, if there's any of that present, it should come back positive, because the way that it works is it's a process called PCR, polymerase chain reaction. And the way that that works is it takes DNA or RNA and it makes a whole bunch of copies of it. So if there's a little bit of it there, it makes a whole bunch of it, so then you can detect it. And if it's not there, it can't make copies of it because it's not there. So anyway, if there's a little bit of it there, it should come back positive. Well, the thing is, if you had it a month ago, well, there still might be particles there. It won't necessarily be active. The current guideline is, 14 days of isolation from your exposure time, or 10 from your test if it's a positive test. So anyway, if it's been 3 weeks, you still might have fragments of RNA there that it's picking up and saying that you're positive, even though you aren't really positive anymore.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my understanding of it, and that's kind of what we went off of in the facility I was working in.
So how has it been for you being back in the Finger Lakes? You haven't really been exposed
I'm
to
not
it.
back. I know. I'm back.
You're here, but you're not here.
Oh, it sucks.
But not back.
I will say that.
And how are you getting food?
It's been really tough to stay inside because I've been just staying right into my apartment because I like I said, I don't want to be the reason that somebody gets this.
Right.
Even if I'm asymptomatic, I don't want to be the reason.
Right.
So it's been tough to stay home knowing that my friends are just down the road and I miss them and I want to go for a walk. And we've got brand new facilities on the outlet trail that
It's been looking great, dude.
I'm the newest president of. And
you're the newest president?
Yeah, I got voted president last month. So I haven't even been able to go down and see it yet. And I'm really excited to be able to go see it.
Yeah.
But my lovely office mate, Gina, got me some groceries when I got back. And then, I was hoping to get some duck eggs. There was a guy that was going to bring me duck eggs, but he never showed up.
Oh.
So,
where do we
and
get
then
duck eggs?
Spotted Duck doesn't sell them. So I was, this guy, well, they don't sell them right now. They do sell them sometimes, but right now they don't. They don't deliver. So anyway, hopefully I'll get some duck eggs soon because I'm into that now. And being a carnivore, fortunate that Angie Bedient I was able to hook up with, and she came and brought to my porch a ton of meat. She brought me, and it's like stuff that you would say, oh yeah, of course Phil would get that, right? So obviously you go for a couple of ribeyes and some burger, but then I also got like 4 tails and a tongue, and I was hoping for some other stuff, but that's what she was
Like
able to get from.
Eyeballs
No,
on the
no,
bread?
I was hoping to
No.
get heart. I was hoping to get a heart.
Oh, heart's good.
Yeah, I wanted heart, and I wanted another tongue, but my freezer's full, so I'm glad that she didn't find any more meat to bring me because I don't know where I would put it.
Do you need anything else? You should just put on Facebook or send a text message when you need things.
And then it'll just appear on my porch.
I think it works that way. I think for you at least.
I think in this community it would.
It would.
And you know, I don't think that I probably will need all that much for the rest of my quarantine, except just it sucks. So, you know, maybe check in on me every now and then.
Okay.
So it just kind of sucks to be locked up. I was talking to our soccer team the other day, and they had all these questions about, you know, how is it going to be when we get back, and what are all the different guidelines and things that we're going to have to follow to be able to have a soccer season. And I just told them, you know, I told them what I just told you about, that I got tested and I'm quarantining, and I hope none of you have to do this, because I'm not even sick. I'm not even sick, and it sucks. Like just being cooped up, and especially when I'm just getting back to town. And it's, you know, if you leave the state, having to quarantine right now, if you go to a state that has high rates,
right,
it's crazy. So just be safe and make sure that try not to do those.
I've had customers come in at the wine bar, and they're saying that they've known like a lot of people who've died from it. And I was like, I don't know anybody who's passed away from this situation. So it's so unreal.
Yeah, it's distant for us. It's distant for us. I made it a little bit less distant for me, but it was still distant. I mean, none of the people that I worked with so far, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll keep the trend going, but nobody has tested positive after leaving the program that we were working in. So we did really well.
Right.
And obviously we were dealing with COVID positive patients all day, every day. So we did really well as far as following certain guidelines to protect ourselves. And some of the nurses that I worked with had worked at other facilities before coming to the facility that we were in. So, you know, we were doing basically a quarantine program, but some of them had come from, you know, the Javits that everybody's heard about, because it's basically, most people probably don't even know what it is, but it's basically a big convention center that they outfitted with all sorts of hospital equipment. They had basically pods set up where they would have a patient in there and all the equipment that they could possibly need. At the beginning, they were even like sending in drones to take their temperatures, like wild stuff, you know, wild stuff.
Wow.
And we had people that worked at, you know, different emergency rooms and testing facilities and different kinds of stuff. And they all had different stories about what that was, and really interesting stuff. But the ones that worked at the more acute care type places, really, like, you could tell that they were rattled to some degree by it because of the level of death that they did see, and that they were dealing with that. It was, you know, they were mostly thankful to be working in the program that we were working in, because it wasn't like that where I was. Like, there were a lot of heroes there. We weren't, you know, we were kind of on the back burner. But, you know, our role was very important there, but it wasn't like what a lot of these folks are doing.
So you weren't around like critical care people, really?
No, I thought here's another thing that I'll tell you about all the people that I worked with there, is we all thought that we were going to a facility that was going to be like that was going to be crazy. We thought it was going to be wild madness, that we were going to be, running around trying to like invent the wheel of how to do this. And we thought that there were going to be patients, stacking up dying
Right.
and on ventilators. And we're like, oh, how are they going to do this in a hotel? And I said, okay, well, you could potentially in a hotel take out most of the furniture and bring in hospital beds or cots or whatever you got to do. And you could make a mobile hospital type scenario in a hotel if you had the equipment. It would be a big operation. And that's what we were told was going on in New York City, was a big operation. But what it turned out to be was it was just quarantine facilities. So people who had tested positive mostly, or people who had been tested, had been exposed and were waiting for results. It was a place where they would have a safe place that would keep them safe and would also make sure that they weren't spreading the disease to other people if they had it. So really, when you talk about flattening the curve, which was, kind of the big buzzword that we heard
Right.
43 times an hour for the first, month of this, and hopefully I think that we've done it somewhat, is that was exactly what that facility was doing, is flattening the curve and taking people who could be spreading it around the community and taking them and giving them a place where they wouldn't be doing that. But the thing that everybody had in common there was that they all had to be at a level of independence where they could take care of themselves. And really our main interaction with them was just meal delivery, taking temperatures, checking on them, making sure they were okay still and that there weren't any problems. And if there were problems, then we could get them to the care that they needed. So, they weren't having to get an ambulance to their house or having, if you're alone at home, if something happens to me, please check on me, because there's nobody here checking on me.
Right.
I
think that's something. I think that's something that should be done here overall the whole time. Like when we haven't been able to get in contact with someone, just checking in with everybody. I haven't.
Yeah. Whether this is going on or not.
Right. Right.
One nice thing that I do know is I did talk to one of my friends is currently working as a contact tracer.
Okay.
And part of what they do is throughout the quarantine period is to call them each day and check in on them. And I think they may have changed that to a text message system now.
Okay.
But at least at the very beginning, it was just a phone call checking, hey, how you doing today? Is everything okay?
I can imagine I can be on the phone for a very long time. Like there are some times when people call at Cardinal and I'm just on the phone for a very, very long time. And I'm just chit-chatting with them.
Well, she said that she missed it. She said she missed it. She said she missed it when they used to call the patients.
Okay.
Because she was starting to make friends with some of them. Like she had to
see that.
Look forward to talking to that person the next day,
Yeah. Did you advertise or really talk up the Finger Lakes while you were in NYC?
There are probably a whole herd of. What was that?
Not me.
It was a car horn beeping. Yeah, outside. I live in the big city of Dundee now, so there's some cars that drive by here and there.
That's funny.
There are going to be a whole bunch of people from New York City and from around the country that are going to be visiting the Finger Lakes who never heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Because they're all fired up about it. Some of my friends, one of my good friends that I made there, she's from Haiti, but she lives in Brooklyn, and she's like, Phil, she has this whole, she's like, I would do this no matter who it was. She's like, Phil, as soon as this is all done, you're the first person I'm coming to visit.
Yes.
So I want to, she wants to get out and come get out into nature. She grew up in Haiti. She said she had goats and stuff when she was a kid. So she misses being out in this kind of an area. And I showed her pictures and she's like, I really want to go there. And, but she said, when I come visit you, I'm going to show everybody your picture, and I'm going to say, if I come up missing, go look for that guy. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? She's like, oh no, I always, like, whenever I go anywhere, I always show them who I'm going to be with.
That's actually a very smart thing to do.
Actually a good idea.
No, it's a smart thing to do.
I say the same thing about you to people. If I ever go missing, this is the guy right here.
Probably Phil.
It's Phil. Phil or Mary Ann. One of those two. I don't know.
I think it's probably Mary.
Mary would be it. Mary would be it.
True. Actually, so yeah, Mary she had a couple questions for you. We tried not to bombard you because I didn't want to bother you too much when you were down there. But she was wondering, like, what kind of gear you were wearing, like, compared to what she wears. Like,
the rules changed daily. It was exhausting. Like,
I bet
the procedures changed daily. When I first got there, it was like they did a quick, like, okay, well, you're an athletic trainer, so you already know all, like, the universal precautions, how to put on gloves, how to take off gloves, those kinds of things. I did have to shave my face so that my N95 mask could seal, because if you're walking around, hey, word to the wise, if you're walking around with an N95 mask because you think it's going to help you and you have a beard, it's not going to help you because that doesn't work that way.
Shave the beard.
Anyway, I shaved. It's weird. Anyway, I had an N95, and it was basically, the way it was set up is that my role didn't include a lot of direct, close interaction with the patients. So most of my interaction with the patients was, either over the floor phone, or, from 20 feet away, or whatever, at least at first. And they told me, they're like, make sure if you're on, so there was one floor that was COVID negative at first. And so that COVID negative floor, it was a little bit more relaxed. You didn't do all of the precautions. Right. But on the floors where you knew they were positive, you did. So on the COVID negative floor, it was at least a surgical mask. And then we did cleaning. Like, part of my job was to go use sanitizer and clean everything that might get touched.
Right.
And it would change based on what floor you were on, how often.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. This you probably didn't hear, but Mary found this kitten in the middle of the road, and it's vicious. So I gotta go take it out of the room because it's attacking me and everything else in the house. So
my black cat is just playing with my hand right now. So
it's crazy.
Let's go.
Yeah, I can understand things changing on a daily basis for all of us.
The situation changes.
Yeah, just got to keep up with it. If anything, you learn from anything, you just have to be flexible and just be like, okay, this is what we have to do now.
Yeah, well, and that's a lot of what it was, and coming up with suggestions and coming up with solutions.
Yeah.
And most of the time that didn't matter because we were just following whatever came down from corporate anyway. But so anyway, on the, just back to finish answering Jesse.
Yes.
Is so on the COVID positive floors, when I first got there, it was an N95 just anywhere on the floor. And they told me, make sure you have gloves on when you're on that floor. And I'm like,
okay.
In my brain, right, that I use sometimes, was, okay, I spent a lot of time working in labs and a lot of times cleaning wounds, whatever, right? So if gloves are for cross-contamination. If you wear them all day long, you might as well not wear them at all, right? It doesn't make any sense. Right. So I'm sitting here wearing my gloves, and the nurse is like, why are you wearing gloves right now? I said, because the boss told me to wear gloves. They're like, but you know that's wrong, right? It's like, yeah, I know it's wrong, but that's what the boss told me to do. So I got halfway through the day and I said, you know what, you're right. I'm just going to do the right thing today.
Right.
And I did, and nobody ever said anything. So anyway, so I went to, you put on gloves when you go to touch things, right?
Right.
So then
Right.
the next step, we get down, and then anybody who was actually within 6 feet of the patient would always have a mask on.
Right.
We would always have a mask on. They would, at first, they had an N95 mask on, a full face shield, and a full surgical gown, right? And gloves.
Right.
By the time that I was finished there, I'll just skip ahead, is by the time that we were finished there, it was still there. It was mostly just a surgical mask. Like the N95s and the gowns and the face shields really became used only when we were doing procedures that would be aerosolizing. So that's a thing to think about, right? So if you're going to do something like CPR, right?
Right.
You're going to do, which we didn't have to ever do when I was there,
Okay.
thank God. But if you were going to do CPR, when you do the chest compressions,
Yeah.
it creates an aerosol, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you need to make sure that you're protected. And what it came down to is putting a mask or a cloth over the patient's mouth while you were doing the CPR and the chest compressions and just doing hands only.
Right. That
If
makes
we
sense.
were to have to do it.
Right.
Now, if the other thing is when they would come in, we'd have to kind of check and make sure that they didn't have like lighters or drugs, or so we'd have to go through their bags just a little bit to make sure
Right.
they didn't have anything that was not allowed, and because we're not in their room really.
Right.
So during that,
I'm sure they love that.
they hated it. Well, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? I'll tell you, I only had maybe twice that they even cared. Usually they were just thankful to have a place to go.
I bet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. There was one guy that was really against it, but everybody else was just happy to have a place to go mostly. So it wasn't really that big of a event, other than that you did have to wear full PPE.
Yep.
If you're doing anything with their linens, like you have to have full PPE.
Right.
But other than that, it got to where you could even be in an elevator with a COVID positive patient, and all you were required to have on, a lot of them would still wear an N95 because they wanted to, but all you were required was any kind of mask and gloves, because you weren't doing an aerosolizing procedure, and you weren't going to be in the elevator with them for a long time.
Right.
So that's kind of what it was. And they even got to the point where, they're doing what's called extended use of PPE. So like gloves are obviously you use them once. The N95 mask is designed typically to be used once, but sometimes they were using them up to 5 uses before they'd have to get a new one. The gowns, they were using the gowns and face shields sometimes for up to a week.
Wow.
And that's not standard procedure everywhere, but that was, we just use proper storage methods to kind of make that safer at least, and to be able to extend the use so that we would have enough gear, because otherwise I don't know if we would have had enough.
I believe hearing hospitals were doing the same thing with the masks. They were reusing them. So
yeah, I mean everybody's doing it now.
I want to ask you guys a question. So I go out a lot and I see the signs on the establishments, wear your mask, right? And I still see people go in without wearing a mask. And I want to know what your thoughts on it, because I tried not to look at them and they might not wear a mask for maybe different reasons or whatever, but I'm just it makes me now uncomfortable when I go into gas stations or Tops or even Aldi. I'm just why are you not following the rules? It's just so strange to me.
Does that happen a lot here?
It happens randomly. It's not a lot. But
I see it all the time.
Do you? See, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you see it though, Jesse? Because I see maybe they're vacationers, but then I see, are you referring to the Mennonites?
Well, no, just all over. So Walmart, Tops, a couple of the bars and restaurants that I've been to.
Okay, yeah.
So places like that, it's pretty rampant.
See,
But
at the wine bar, everyone, I explain the rules, what's going on. When you guys have to go in, put the mask on. But everyone has been thankfully really, really good. I haven't dealt with anyone being nasty to anyone, which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, I've only had to tell one group of people to please put on a mask, and they got kind of nasty about it. But I kind of told them I don't want to be wearing one either. So I mean, we're all just doing it because that's the rules, and we have to follow the rules, obviously. So it's kind of how it goes. They weren't happy, and they left, and said
Fine.
sorry.
Fine, it is what it
Unless
is,
you're
right?
going to give me $10,000 for the fine,
Yeah.
then you're more than welcome to not have your mask on if you're going to cover the fee. So, yeah.
The way
Again,
I'm thankful for it right now, where we've been, like the past few months were so horrible, but being able to be open now, even if it's 50% capacity, even though we have to wear the masks and everything, I'm just thankful that we've been able to be open. And I know I had some customers that kind of like, because they say things about Cuomo, and I'm just like, dude, I don't really care. Other than that, I think Cuomo, I would never want his job. His job sucks, honestly. But because of what he's done, we are able to be open 4th of July weekend or be open like right now. I think why are you having that look on your face? That's the way I look at it, though.
Yeah. I think that what he did
could have been better, maybe.
Was one way to tackle it. It was one way to go about it. And it's really far away from the way that I would have gone about it, or the way that I would have liked to have had it gone about.
Right.
But you can't change it now. So here we are. And
well, no one's ever had to go through this before. So, I mean, I'm not sticking up for the guy. I'm just saying this is a hard job.
It is a hard job. I don't disagree with that. It doesn't have to be as hard as he makes it. I think that he's made it a hard job because he's said that he's said that I'm Big Daddy, and I need to tell you all what you need to do, and I need to make sure that you do it, and that's the only way this is going to work. And I just don't think that that's how it is. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I think that as much as he did bring us a lot of information that was important,
right,
and he did make a lot of decisions that were probably difficult to make, I don't think that he needed to be Big Daddy. I think that he could have said, okay, here are some guidelines that we want to put in place. Here are some things that we recommend. Here are some things that we're going to do, as far as mask wearing. We really think that you should. Like this is, I mean, that mask wearing is just an easy target because it's on everybody's face.
Right.
So what he did was he said, if you don't do it, we're going to fine you.
Which never happened, I don't think.
It's
or has it?
It's happening.
Has it? I don't see it.
Happening. And at the same time, not requiring the police to do it, which
that's another thing. Right.
Anyway, so the mask is an easy target, right? So he said, everybody has to do it, or we're going to fine you, or whatever, or beat you up. So what he could have done is said, we really think you ought to do it. We think that businesses definitely ought to be able to have the ability to ask people to do it, and to ask people to leave if they don't do it.
Right.
And then, you know what? If you don't do it, you're trespassing. Right? We already had that law. We didn't need new executive orders. We just need to say, okay, look, here are the guidelines that we think you ought to follow. Here's why. It's actually a good idea. It's actually going to be something that's going to keep your mom from dying, maybe.
Right. Yeah, makes it connection.
So, just if it's a good idea, people will do it.
Yeah.
And probably more than if you try to force it on them, because now it's like people are rebelling against it. Well, it wouldn't be an issue where people are rebelling about it if you would just educate them instead of forcing, I think.
Right. I could see that. That makes sense.
So that's where I'm at is, if if all the businesses said, hey, we want to protect you. Right. We want to protect our customer. So we're going to wear masks. We're going to have a box of masks at the door. We hope that you bring your own, but if you don't, we still want your business. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a mask. I'll give you a paper mask, surgical mask, and you can wear that while you're patronizing my business. Mm-hmm. And You could take it with you afterwards, whatever. And if you don't want to wear it, then I'm sorry, but we'll have to make sure that we keep all of our other customers safe.
Right. No.
So
yeah,
I have a pretty big opinion on it, but before I do, I never want to get into this since I was a business owner. I don't like politics or throwing my opinion. So in this cancel culture we're in, I want to say my opinion does not reflect my business opinion on this at all.
Good disclaimer.
Doesn't. Like,
good
yeah,
disclaimer.
no, seriously, just like throw it out there. So if I was Cuomo, I tried to put myself in his shoes, right?
Mhm.
And I said, I get hit with this. There's a lot of people with a lot more knowledge than I know on the whole situation. I think his first steps were brilliant because you want to be on the right side of history, right? Do you want to be force people to go home and save lives, or do you want to tell people to, just keep going, screw it, and then they look back and say, wow, this guy is, he's gotten thousands of people killed. So I agreed with him up to there, be on the right side of history, make people stay home for a little bit, shut some things down. But then I get to where Phil is, where it's like you start mandating things that I don't think you have the power to mandate. You you shouldn't be forcing people. Again, I guess because Phil and I are both kind of libertarian, we feel like you shouldn't impede other people's rights. So if you want to wear a mask, you wear a mask if you feel unsafe, but I shouldn't have to wear a mask if I feel safe without one. Because as long as you're wearing a mask and you're avoiding people that aren't wearing a mask, you should be safe. Maybe
No, I got to be devil's advocate. I have to be devil's advocate is that's not how masks work, right? So that's the argument that a lot of people have made, and I love where your head is with it.
Yeah.
But the way that the masks work is when I'm talking to you right now, spit's coming out, droplets are coming out, and the mask slows that down.
Right.
For you, it might help a little bit, but if I'm not wearing a mask and you are, your mask isn't going to help you. It'll help like a hair, but for the most part, your mask isn't going to help you. Your mask is going to help me. And I know that's like, we've had all these memes and stuff of, oh, your mask isn't for you, it's for me. But that really is true. So,
I get what you're saying.
It muddies the water with that lot. I feel the same way, but it muddies the water.
But my main point was the only time I think masks should be required for everyone is in essential places, grocery stores.
Yeah,
places where you have to go to survive.
I like that.
I don't think that a mask should be required when you're. I guess you have to at a bar restaurant, but when people are standing, they can't have it. When people are sat, they it just doesnn't make sense. There's so many things that it's just like, whoa, that doesn't even. I get if people are walking around, but it just to stand at a bar, if there's no seats left and you stand there, you have to be wearing a mask. It's like, it gets pretty interesting.
If there's no seats left, you got a whole different problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Not really, actually. Not at all. Not the way I'm set up. So we put 6 seats at the bar, all spread out 6 feet. That's and if 2 people or a couple, there's a big section of bar with nothing there, no seats, nothing. Right. There's all there is a standing room. So it's actually it's not a big problem for me, at least. Maybe in other places.
I was trying to think of how that would work. Yeah. Like my actually, congratulations to my niece. She's getting married today, and I'm not going to be there because I'm in quarantine.
Congratulations.
But I looked at pictures of her setup, and I was like, oh, well, that's like they had all the chairs kind of like 3 or 4 feet apart. I said, oh, well, that's kind of neat, but people really, if the point is to do any kind of distancing, really, they ought to be sitting kind of in family units,
right?
Like household units. So I don't know. It's all tricky, though. I see where you're coming from, but it's just all tricky.
The bar situation, at least with my bar, it is difficult, but as long as they come in as a unit and they sit down at the bar or at the tables, it's cool. It's just when they want to get up and like want to hang out, I'm like, just wear your mask, do what you need to do. and that's mostly for the fear of like if someone saw my restaurant and they're like, oh, you're not following suit, and that's like a biggest thing. So I don't know if I told you, Phil, but I'm not doing any live music this year. I decided that I just can't comply with the regulations that's expected. And it's super sad because I think we all love having the musicians there, but I don't have like the outdoor seating like the wineries and breweries, and they can totally do it. They can totally nail it. But I feel like I would put my business, my license in jeopardy if I were to have live music there. So
do you feel like, just going off what you just said, you said that you didn't want for people to think like you were, not going with it, right?
Right.
So if you weren't going to get fined, would you still want people to wear a mask?
I always want people to wear masks. Well, yeah, because the idea of possibly people spreading what that potentially could be spread among everybody. I don't want anyone to get sick.
So if there wasn't a fine, you'd still do the same thing if they told you that this is what you should do. They said, okay, here's a guy.
It has nothing. But it has something.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it has something more like, hey, this business owner thinks it's okay to still come together and hang out like that. I don't want to be perceived like that. I want to follow suit what I think is
so right. So if there was another restaurant in town that was doing that, no masks, and like they didn't care if people were wandering around and having bigger groups, right? So if that existed, would you go there or would you avoid it?
Here's what I would do. I would avoid it, but there's another second thing I would totally make sure I would never do. I would never blast it on Facebook. And I see that more and more with people. They have these silly little balls. They just want to make you look like an asshole on Facebook rather than just contact the business owner and just be like, hey, look, this is what happened. This is what I saw happen. Just want to make sure you're aware of it. Like actually have a conversation. I think when people put something nasty on Facebook or whatever, and they want other people to jump on it and be nasty about it, I just feel like what happened to our society? That's like it's so sad where we're going right now. And I think, Jesse, I had this conversation with you on Friday. It's like, if you saw something I did wrong, you would talk to me and I would talk to you, but I would never blast another business on Facebook like that. I think that's just it's pretty shitty.
Yeah. I think there might be a place for that, but it's like way down the line of options. It's like your 47th option at least.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
But what my point was with the questions I asked you is you are doing it. You would do it whether you get fined or not because you think it's going to help protect your customers.
Right.
And you wouldn't go to a business that wasn't doing it.
No.
Because you wouldn't feel safe.
Right.
And you don't think it's protecting their customers, right? So does it need to be a law? Does it need to be an order? Does it need to be a fine if you would do it anyway?
I think it should be mandated. I think there should be a mandate, like a big suggestion, because how many people, Mary Ann's probably in the minority around here.
Would you?
I am a minority too.
Would you do it would you still do it if it wasn't required?
Would I still wear a mask?
Yeah.
I guess it would count like where I was. Like if I'm going to be around people and I can't maintain distance, and
just when you're. I mean, I don't wear one walking down the street. I don't. When I go by somebody.
But I'm talking like if I'm at a market outdoors and I'm not around people, I don't think I'd wear one. But in a confined space in a bar, I've kept myself out of that situation. For a reason. So I try not to.
You get what I'm saying? That it probably doesn't even need to be mandated.
I see what you mean by that.
Because what'll happen is the market will sort it out, right? The businesses will say, oh, well, my business is down because people are specifically not coming here because they can't wear a mask or because nobody's wearing masks.
But Phil, I don't think a lot of people have that common sense though. Like I think people need to be told what to do.
Yeah. This is the problem is I think Mary Ann's in the minority here. And so am I when it comes to trying to keep people safe. And again, because we're business owners, we don't want to bring coronavirus into our business or our employees or anything else. It makes, she also has a young daughter, I'm around my older parents. So there's a little more that matters to me, but
Your
I can
parents
tell
are
you-
not
Your parents
old,
are not
by the way.
old.
You stop that.
My dad's 62. He's up there, right?
Oh my
So,
god, that's like super young still.
yeah.
Stop.
Anyway, so the problem is I have friends that think exactly opposite what I do, and a
Right.
lot of them are not even close. They're just like, no, it's a conspiracy. They don't want to wear it. They think it's stupid.
But
So
are
it's
they
just one of
business
those
owners?
things. No, that's the thing.
Because I think business owners have enough sense to know
but
that
right.
if they don't say you have to have a mask on to come here, that it's going to hurt them.
Yeah. Well, a lot of business owners have been fined and everything else over it. So it's starting to kind of, everyone's jumping on board. So I've been doing it since the beginning. I mean, it's the only way to do it. So again, be on the right side of history. You don't want to be the business that's not doing it. It doesn't look good. Yeah.
No, there's a lot of.
Again, this is not something I like to talk about live because people can take what you say and twist it around and make you sound different than what you are. But really, I'm just for stripping people of their liberties. Like, that's why it's like, that's my only thing. I'm going to do it. If it's mandated, it's the law. I follow the law. That's what I do. I mean, that's what I got a degree in criminal justice. I wanted to be a lawyer someday. So like, I get laws. I understand how it's supposed
your
to be.
excuse.
So yeah.
Like, oh, it's not me. It's that asshole Cuomo.
Right. I mean, it really is.
It's not me at all. If it was me, I'd just let you do whatever you want.
Yeah, of course you throw the blame on someone else. That's politics, isn't it?
Go ask.
That's true. That's so true.
I'm a code enforcement officer. I mean, I'm stuck enforcing this. The police aren't enforcing this. Code enforcement officers are. So every day I enforce this law. I enforce it. I go to the businesses. I go to all the local. I mean, I hate to throw names. Oh yeah, I hate to throw around. I'll just throw one name out there: the windmill. I mean, that's it. Just think about how big the windmill is, and how many calls I can get about that. And honestly, they've done a great job. It hasn't been that bad, but that's just one big business in Barrington where it's like there's a lot of people walking in and out of that place, and it's got to be hard to enforce that. Yeah. And they've done a good job, really. So, and that's only one business. Just imagine what it's like for me. I probably spend 20 hours a week dealing with people not wearing masks and going in and trying to enforce it. There's a lot of the Mennonite markets around us, which they are a little more against the masks than I'd say we are. Had to talk to them a lot and try to explain to them what's going on and why it's a big deal. And so, trust me, I'm the bad guy. I have to go do this or I can lose my license as a code enforcement officer. So,
you are the bad guy.
Yeah. So I'm coming from a place not only as a business owner, but being the guy who enforces it. So I'm on both spectrums. I have to follow and enforce.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I want to kind of switch this up for a little bit. I just found out that Angels is opening in August. Angels has been closed for quite some time.
This whole time.
Yeah, so I heard they're opening up in August, which I'm excited about because that's one of Portia's favorite places to go in Penn Yan. So
you know why, right?
What?
You know why?
Why? Oh, because you've taken her there. Is that why?
No.
Oh, because the coloring books.
No. Well, she likes the coloring books. They give her a free coloring book whenever she goes there. It's wild.
I know. That's what she loves going there for. She loves the free coloring book.
You know what else?
She loves the food. No, tell me.
It's because the pancake, instead of just make it a circle, they put 2 extra circles so it's shaped like Mickey Mouse or something.
It's such a genius
that's all it takes. Like just make so I wanted to take her to the diner one time.
Yeah.
She's like, oh no, I really want to go. I'm like, oh, I'd really like to go to the diner though. And it's like, I bet you if we ask that they'd make. So they did. They put the extra circles on the pan. You just have to ask them. Yeah, they'll do it at the diner. You just have to ask them special to put the ears on it.
They're love it.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
They would love it.
They should just do that anyway for kids.
So how much interaction have we gotten on this, Phil? Are there people commenting at all, or
people are probably on the lake right now?
Yeah, we've got.
I'm trying to look on Facebook. I can't get it. Oh, there we go.
So I've got comments from Minnesota and Ohio. And...
Is that the cat?
Yeah.
I love his cat.
Got back in. Okay. We're good.
Jamie Sisson's watching it. And,
Jamie Sisson.
we love him.
It was his birthday not too long ago.
Happy birthday, Jamie.
Happy belated.
No, honestly, shout out to Jamie for supporting a lot of local businesses during this, but especially mine coming in and getting
Jamie
takeout.
and Ginny. Jamie and Ginny.
Jamie and Ginny are awesome.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. It was
Did
awesome.
you
guys.
Did you guys see that my brother came into town the other day?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Healy. If he could really be my brother, I wish he would be my brother.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Oh, these cars are killing me in town. I can't wait to get back into the country.
I know. Well, I can't wait till we get into the new studio.
Yeah, what's the status on that, Jesse?
I was shopping up some cameras today, trying to figure out how.
We're good. The only thing we need is a decent table down there, and we can do the live podcast. So it'll be.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
One of my friends from the New York City crew did a show on HGTV with she was also a carpenter or something, right? So she would teach people how to build bookcases and stuff like that. So she gave me some advice on lighting and stuff like that. So
she did?
Yeah. So awesome. We might get some lighting.
Some good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's going to be exciting. I'm excited to do it in person. It'll be way different. There'll be probably.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like in person we'll be able to get our points across a little more. It's like I'm a little timid on the computer because you never know. It's hard to read each other. It's hard to get your point out with when you're with each other, you can look at each other and understand.
I can't give you hand signals.
Yeah. Yeah. Be like, Jesse, no. No.
Stop it.
That's when we first started this and it was just me and Marianne and there was no video. We'd get talking and she'd start talking about something. I'd be like,
oh, about his love life. He told me off camera, stop talking about his love life. And I was like, fine. Remember we were eating sushi and I was like, I'm the loudest chewer. And I just have come to realize this.
If you have good headphones and you listen to the episode where we had sushi, we had sashimi, I brought to her house and we recorded and you could just hear the whole time just.
Oh, God.
So sorry.
That's funny.
So let's look at the calendar. Let's see, when can we all hang out with Phil and it's going to be okay?
I was going to invite Phil over to my house last night and I forgot he was quarantined.
Yeah.
Because I bought the MMA fight and I was like, I'm going to invite Phil. Yeah, we can watch the fight. Yeah, and then I was like, right, Phil's quarantined. That's not happening. Yeah.
Well, it's July 12th. I almost said June. July 12th. When are you good to go?
Well, it'll depend on my test results, but at the latest would be the 19th.
Okay. 19th.
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
One more week would be the latest.
Okay, that sounds good.
Actually, the 18th. Actually, the 18th. Yeah, sorry. So.
We should all go. We should definitely take Phil to the Laurentide. That's for sure. My good friends Marla and Tracy, they're killing it there. Awesome, fun spot.
I've only heard
beer's really good.
Yeah. And then there's a new place in Watkins Glen. There's a new restaurant over there called. Oh, I hope I don't butcher it. I think it's like Kukula Rock or something like that.
Wait, where? I was in Watkins Glen yesterday.
What's it? Are you sure it's not pronounced?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it. Yeah, it's if you're going. Do you remember where Mr. Chicken used to be?
Yeah.
The greatest chicken place ever. Sorry, Seneca Farms, but I love Mr. Chicken. Just not too far back from that, where that used to be, is where the restaurant is. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they do all seafood. You can get raw oysters, mussels, clams.
Shut up.
Damn, bro.
Why didn't we talk about this Friday? Because I would have been on top of that yesterday.
So there's a couple cool spots you got to take, Phil.
I'm just not entirely sure that it's responsible to name a restaurant that during the pandemic when, you're going to have to be making a lot of those sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And now I'm going to Google it to make sure that I have it right.
So there's a pierogi place in Watkins Glen that we didn't get to hit up because
No
we were
pierogies.
too stuffed. I stopped. But there's that. Have you guys been to that Seneca? That place in Watkins Glen? It's a cheese board, kind of like it's like a. They sell wine, they sell beer, but it's Seneca cheese. I think it's what it's called. But what's cool about it?
Yeah.
They have like you can go upstairs and it's like you can see on top of like what the traffic looks like. So it's so exciting when people start getting pissed at each other. They're honking the horn. They're like, "Why is this person going left?" And it's like, "Oh my god, this is so great!" So we cheer because it's funny for me. We went there. Oh, so Kev and I also went to Cuca Breeze, which is in the Hampton, and it's a bar. They have a bar there.
Yeah, that's right.
They have a bar. And they have a light food situation going on. But I have to say, the view is pretty nice. I like the view. It's small, though, and I get what they're doing. But I think it's a really pretty place on the lake, especially there's not a lot of places on the lake that you can do that. But if you want to check it out, there's a lot of – they have the liquor. They can do the Bloody Marys, which, Jesse, we should do that Bloody Mary thing we were going to do when COVID-19 happened.
You should get some sudsies. You should use sudsies for the
sudsies.
Yeah, I've never had it. I want to try it.
Oh, you haven't had it?
Try some sudsies.
Oh no,
good stuff.
We'll fix that.
And that guy's my neighbor. He's a Barringtonite. So yeah.
Oh my, he should bring some over. Tell him just bring some stuff over. So we should definitely do Bloody Mary thing for that. But yeah, that was a cool place.
We'll have him for a podcast, and we'll build Sudsies Bloody Marys.
He's an interesting guy. He'd be a good guy to put on a podcast. Very smart.
I know he is interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a yes then?
Oh, for sure. I'm always down. So yeah, should be cool. Oh, talking about cool cocktails. So I'm going to the Laurentide on Monday, and we're going to invent a cocktail list all with beers for them.
Ooh.
So it's going to be like beer cocktails. Yeah.
Ooh,
should be interesting.
Like with liquor or with
liquor, my liquor and their beer. Just make like cocktails with them. See what we can do. Should be interesting.
That sounds
like
dangerous.
You ever had a michelada before?
No.
It's like a beer Bloody Mary. It's like really good. There's a couple other cool cocktails you can.
Is that like one of them red beers? I used to go to this. I used to go, well, I don't know if I could say used to. A couple times I went to South Dakota for a hunting trip. There's this little bar in the middle of nowhere, and they specialized in red beer, which was basically you take kind of a, not like a light beer, and then you mix it with like Clamato juice.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. Yeah, I think micheladas, I think they use I think it's like a Mexican thing, like down in Mexico. I think it's like I don't know. I think it's like a lager. Car bombs. Yeah, there we go. Car bombs. No, a car bomb. That's Guinness.
Thanks, Jamie.
Guinness, Jameson, and Bailey's. Yeah.
Do they make cider as well, or is it only beer?
Only beer.
Only beer.
I thought they're having a cider come up soon, though.
Maybe.
Laurentide, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the bottom of the menu, Phil, the upcoming beers is, I think, definitely it's a cider. And there's like Pen Yen Light, which I think Kevin's very excited about because he drinks very, very light beers like Molson.
Yeah.
So that will be, well, it was Tracy's idea was right where he's like, it's a good idea to make a light beer where you're not going to be filled up after the second one. And the New England IPA, I get filled up on like after the second one. So it's such a cool spot to go.
They wanted to do the light beer to kind of like fit in with Pen Yen. They said like they don't want the people who don't drink craft beer to not show up. So they thought, let's try to make a lighter beer for the non-craft beer drinkers.
They should make an ice beer while they're at it.
An ice beer.
Yeah. What's that? Ice beer?
Yeah.
What's an ice beer?
Like you never heard of like
Keystone Ice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
You know how they make that?
No.
They actually, so it has a higher alcohol. It's like a light beer with a higher alcohol content. Okay. So they basically take a lighter beer and they freeze it, and then they scoop off the ice, and that the ice doesn't contain the alcohol. The alcohol is left behind.
Right,
so
ice is water.
Right. So
it's a good idea.
How you make ice beer?
That's how you make Applejack. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people haven't drank Applejack in their life, but for people that have,
Isn't
you
it
ferment.
cereal? Apple Jacks.
How do you do
Yeah,
it?
actually, you ferment apple cider, and then you during the natural fermentation, you let it like create its own alcohol. I guess you can add a little more sugar, just add some extra yeast,
Sure.
and then once
Sugar.
fermentation's done, you just leave it outside, let it freeze, and whatever doesn't freeze, you pour off, and that's your Applejack. So
Oh, and it's not
Tasty.
carbonated?
no.
Well, I might make some of that because I've got some cider that's been aging for a long time that I need to do something with, and carbonating it is kind of a pain.
This
Cider?
country was built on Applejack. It actually was it was like a currency. People traded like with Applejack to get like cattle or anything like that, horses.
Huh.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah. So as long as if you had apples, like you were set for sure. So a lot of cool information no one else cares about, but since I'm a distiller, of course I do. But
Yeah,
fun
Yeah.
stuff.
we care.
Yeah.
Oh. Phil, by the way, trivia has been doing well at
Really?
the wine bar on Thursdays. Yeah.
How
Where's
are
one?
you?
There was one time we had it outside, and it was
Really?
it
That'd
was
be
so
great.
cool. But I didn't get to hear any of the questions because I was running around like a crazy person.
That's good.
But my boy Jay, he's been coming up with fun questions. I give him a couple categories, and he just has been nailing it. So I'm pretty excited
awesome.
about it. Yeah. it's
Oh,
been good.
you've had Jay doing it?
Yeah. I've been Jay
he's
doing it.
He's a cool guy.
He's
a
cool.
really nice guy.
He's so excited, and it makes him happy. And
Yeah.
I just love him. I love his crew. It's overall like a really good time.
Yeah.
Very good
Every time I see him, he's always like super happy, always
Yeah.
smiling. I love being around people like that. I'm like a half glass empty kind of person. I need to be around half glass, half full kind of people.
Jesse,
so.
when we strolled
Yeah.
in Friday night, you were like, because you were like, I didn't close the door quick enough. I'm like, the flag is still out. And then now, Phil, did you know this? Ruth, we call her Ruthless now.
Oh,
Ruthless.
what's going on there? Why?
I don't know. What's the story?
Oh, she's ruthless. She is in a nice way. That's the thing. Is like she's nicely ruthless. Like you ever had that grandma that just like she's like very sweet, but at the same time, she's like trying to like tell you, and you're just like, that's Ruth. She's very good at getting her point across and being very nice about it. So we just call her Ruthless, and she's like all smiley, but she likes the nickname. She loves it.
That's a good nickname.
That is a great nickname.
I like it.
Did that come from you, Jesse?
It did. Yeah, I was
Nice.
drunk. Named her Ruthless.
Quickly naming you. Oh, Phil, let me tell you something. When you stroll into any establishment in town, people are going to be excited to see you. You've been missed, bud. You've been missed.
I gave Phil a nickname at my bar the other night. Remember?
Oh.
You're like, do you usually call him that? You don't remember asking me? And I was like, yeah. I go, oh, I can't wait to see Phyllis. And you go, do you usually call him Phyllis? Yeah, I was like, I don't think Phil's gonna like that nickname.
Yeah. Look how happy he looks.
Sorry, Phil. I was drinking. It was in the moment.
So what else is new in Penn Yan?
He's like subject change.
What's new in Yates County?
Who's what?
What's new in Yates County?
I told you about that. Thinking. Jesse, think on top. Think quicker. I told you about Cuba Breeze that opened up at the beginning of July. Angels is opening up in August. My parking lot next door is getting all screwed up, but that's because they're adding the sidewalk. The bridge, I don't know when the bridge is going to be done.
I thought, wait, which bridge? You mean the one right next to the bar?
Right.
I thought that was open.
No.
Somebody showed me a picture, and it's got like a sidewalk coming from it now.
Yeah, the sidewalk, but the fence is still up, though.
Really?
Yeah,
unless they recently brought it down, but the fence is still up.
Oh.
I don't know when the bakery's moving in next door.
Where is that going?
That's gonna go where the kayak guy was.
I thought he was still there.
No, the kayak guy moved in the back, and so there's this empty space next door to Union Block.
In the what do you mean in the back?
There's
the back
like
of what?
on the back side of the white building.
Like on the side?
Yeah, side back.
Oh, okay. Huh. I guess that makes sense. He doesn't need that whole front.
Right.
Or maybe he does. I don't know what he needs.
I don't know. What else, Jesse?
I'll
You're on
tell
Main
you,
Street.
I've got a couple. I haven't been to see them yet, but we've got a brand new pavilion on the outlet trail.
Oh yeah.
So for people looking for a cool spot to check out, the Cascade Mills waterfall on the Cuke Outlet Trail now it's in the middle of a makeover, really.
Okay.
And we've had this dream of making a awesome place for community things, and for it's going to be awesome. I mean, so far they've built a new pavilion, a new parking lot, and we've got an old derelict building that was torn down that really was becoming hazardous, and it's really going to open up down there. And we've got a couple more projects going on down there that are coming up hopefully soon, waiting to hear back from the engineering company. But it's going to be a whole different look down there, and a lot of people are going to miss what they've gotten used to. But really, when you go down there, it's going to be gorgeous. So
awesome.
Get down there soon. And then,
so
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I forgot on my schedule of things to do with Phil. I was looking at my calendar. So now I have to change the Sunday. But the 19th, let's go shoot some guns. Let's do it. Let's go up to my property.
That's you guys.
You can come, Marianne. What do you think? You want to do it, Phil?
I have my daughter with me.
100%.
I know he's down
Yeah.
for it.
I got my dad has a cool. What? Yeah, my dad has a couple new guns that he got. Then
snap.
New toys. We gotta have some fun. So
new adult toys.
Right. I'm in for that.
Yeah. Cool. 19th.
Marianne's
so that's next Sunday.
Yes.
Oh.
Next Sunday.
Are we doing a podcast next Sunday?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys.
We can meet after the podcast and do it.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me know. I'm thinking about opening up on Sundays again.
Or maybe we'll just bring our microphones and do the. Oh, I guess we won't have enough internet access up there to do them.
Probably not. Middle of nowhere, right?
Not really. No.
That's too bad.
That would be cool. Yeah, just to show guns on a podcast, I'm sure we would get that would make a lot of people real happy. all the guns.
I'd get demonetized.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, but really quick, I'm thinking about opening up back on Sundays, but I'm going to switch up the hours. So instead of the 4 to 8, we're going to be open up a little bit earlier. Want to do more like a wow, I can't talk right now. Mimosa situation.
Are you allowed to do that?
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out.
Why not? Just champagne and orange juice.
Yeah, but I didn't think you were allowed to mix stuff there.
Oh, no. I don't. That's not hard liquor. Not hard liquor.
Oh, as long as there's no hard liquor.
No. Yes. No, I'm filing suit. I'm just double checking with my landlord to make sure it's cool that we're going to open up earlier as opposed to later. Just to hit up a different market we've never done before.
Didn't you already advertise that, though?
No, I haven't even done it yet.
I saw it someplace.
I'm not too
on Facebook.
Where?
It's on Facebook. That's your hours now. I think you might be open right now.
I don't think so. But let me just say it's going to be happening next Sunday. So because I see a lot of music's happening on the lake later on in the afternoon. So I want to try just changing it up, and not everyone feels comfortable going to church right now. I like to think as a wine bar is kind of like a faith area where people can talk to other people in a very positive manner. So, but there's a couple new drinks that I want to roll out with. So I'm going to do it next Sunday. So
so people can get warmed up for the day.
Let's warm up.
Yeah.
You have to start in the morning, right? Huh?
Little hair of the dog.
Yeah, I think so. But Jesse, I need to know when you're going to do that Bloody Mary social. Remember we said bloody social?
Yeah. Whenever you guys let me know and we'll make it happen. So, Sundays are my only day off. So any Sunday, I'm ready. So.
All right, the 26th, July 26th.
Done.
I'm putting it in my calendar now.
July 26th.
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, here's
Sweet.
another.
That'll be
Here's,
cool.
here's a really cool. Just while we're, singing the praises of Penyan.
Yeah.
One thing that happened, kind of, I've been sitting on it for a while. It kind of happened way back when I first got to New York City. Was the program that I was working in, serves a lot of homeless, in addition to the general, population of whoever. And back then, it was a higher proportion, I think, of homeless. I'm not sure what the actual stats are, but it felt like a higher proportion. And there were a few people that had some issues with clothes. So specifically, there was even one guy, or a couple guys, one guy even though, that came in, and his clothes were so dirty, and we couldn't do their laundry there. We gave them clean clothes to wear while they were there, but we couldn't wash their clothes. So this guy, 2 days in, his clothes were so bad that 2 days in, after trying to figure out if he could get them washed or not, and found out that he couldn't, he had them thrown away.
Oh, jeez.
Because that's how dirty they were. So he had nothing to wear.
Wow.
So by the time that he left, I'd had a couple conversations with a couple of the nurses, and this one, her name is Becky Quick, and she's from actually around near the Binghamton area.
Mhm.
And she's one of the sweetest people you'd ever want to meet. Like, I don't know if there are really a lot of nicer people in the world than she is. And I was talking to her about it, and I said, man, I bet the college that I work for, I bet Cuca College could at least send some, like, a box of T-shirts or something, like stuff that's left over from events that we never used or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how to get it shipped because everything was still shut down. I didn't anyway, trying to figure out how can I get a box of T-shirts from the college down here. Well, what she said is, oh, well, my daughter's coming to visit me this weekend. Like, actually, like Friday. This was Wednesday. So I said, oh, well, that's nice. And she said, no, but if you could get the stuff to Binghamton, or if, like, my husband could actually drive out and pick the stuff up where you guys are, if that would work. So anyway, long story short is I made about 4 phone calls.
Yes.
And I called, a couple of my friends that were able to contribute some clothes. I called my boss at the college, and he put together a whole package of old T-shirts and things like that, and like clothes that they were looking to donate. And like the Once Again shop wasn't able to be open, so they've got clothes that are seasonal that they're sitting on that they can't sell to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to get through to the Once Again shop, and they donated clothes.
Awesome.
And she got on the phone, and she didn't say, she didn't ask me really a ton of details. Like, I had explained to her the program, and she said, okay, what do you need? Like, that's all it was. It wasn't, what can you do for me? It's just what can we do to help? And
Cool.
I said, it's probably a higher proportion male than female. And I've got a couple female already donating some clothes. So they sent jackets. It was still cold then. They sent jackets, T-shirts, sweaters, jeans, shorts, socks, underwear, shoes, like everything.
Wow.
In all different sizes. And between a couple of my friends and between the Once Again shop, which if anybody's listening and wants to support them, please support the Once Again shop because they supported us.
Yeah.
The Once Again shop and Cuca College sent clothes, and a couple of my friends sent clothes. They filled my boss's pickup truck with clothes. He drove to Ithaca, where Becky's husband met him, and they did the handoff. And then he drove him back to Binghamton. Binghamton, they switched it over to his daughter's SUV, which was packed all the way to the ceiling.
Wow.
And within 48 hours from her saying, oh, yeah, we can get it here, we had a room full of donated clothes that have been used for those patients who need them ever since.
Wow.
And there's still some there. So that was a big kudos to the Finger Lakes, to the Penn Yan community, Yates County, for all the people who pitched in to make that happen, because that was just, it was amazing. And
Yeah.
Well, a big shout out to you too, Phil. I mean, having the connections you've made and utilizing them, and you saw a need. You do. You
it's
always
so
see
easy.
needs anyways.
It's so easy.
But the
All
thing
I
is,
had
though,
to do was ask. That's the
but-
amazing thing.
but you saw a need and you delivered, and that's what you're really good at. So kudos to you as well.
Well, and a big shout out, seriously, if we're getting close to ending, like going down there and doing that, like people don't give you enough credit. It's pretty brave to leave everything you have to go help people out. I wouldn't do it. And so, I mean, unless, it was, forced on me, but just to go do it, just to volunteer is pretty impressive. So
Yeah.
I think it's
No,
commendable.
it's good.
Man.
It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah.
We know you don't like a lot of attention put on yourself.
Adrian
so we liked
Don,
it.
I'm glad that he was able to be there too. One of our nurses is watching that. Really was, Adrian was one of our nurses who I always said, I always felt comfortable with all of our nurses, but whenever he was there, just kind of, you knew that things were going to go smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know when your friends come up though from the city.
Yeah.
I think you know that we'll take good care of them.
Yep.
And then you got to shout out to your boss, man. He sent you that package of goodies from up here. That was so cool of him.
Yeah.
Tasty,
So
like-
along with the clothing shipment came, my boss is awesome. Not only did he bring that stuff down, not only did he help make that happen, because it wouldn't, I don't know if it would have happened without him.
Mhm.
But, and he didn't ask for anything either. He just said, yep, how can we do it? And not only that, but he went and he picked up wine for me from Rooster Hill.
Oh yeah.
And he went and picked up bourbon for me from Jesse.
Oh, it was a care package for you.
And
Yeah.
it was, it went over really well. Actually, I didn't need all of that wine and bourbon for myself because I was working 12 hours a day. There wasn't really much time for it. But there were a couple people who received some of that
Cool.
that were very happy to get it. We had, I made really good friends with the doorman at the second hotel I was in. And
What was his name?
oh, crud.
Now you put him on the spot.
Angelo. His name's Angelo.
Angelo.
Okay.
Yeah, Angelo. And every morning, hey, Angelo, hey, have a good day. You going to work? Yep. All right. So I'd see him. I think he was, I don't know if he was overnight or whatever, but I'd only see him if I was there real early in the morning. But I asked him, what kind of wine does your wife like? And he said, oh, mostly white wine. I'm like, okay, dry or sweet? Mostly dry. So, next time I saw him a couple days later, I came down and I handed him a package. I said, this is for you and your wife to enjoy. And it was like I gave him the world.
That's so sweet.
And
That's awesome.
and Jeff brought me 2 bottles of bourbon, which was awesome. And I drank most of 1 bottle of bourbon along with some friends,
Nice.
one of which was surprised by it. He had some in a glass, and he said that he was hungover the whole next day because he didn't realize how strong it was.
Oh, God.
Good job, Jesse. Good job.
Oh, geez.
And then I had an extra bottle. I know I can get another bottle here. And I had an extra bottle. And I had a friend that I talked to about bourbon a few times down there who was the head of security at the facility I was working at. And on my last day, I brought him, the day before my last day, I brought him that extra bottle of bourbon. And
Nice.
he might actually come on the podcast. He's got some really neat tricks, but he loved the bourbon. He sent me an email about how much he loved the bourbon. He said it was making him real happy. He did like it with a little bit of water in it. So it really brings out the flavor and cuts the alcohol taste, and you can really taste the bourbon.
Oh, I gotta try that.
Yep. Anytime you have any kind of hard liquor, it should have some water in it, whether it's ice or liquid. But this guy shows up on his last day. He came and he stayed, or on my last day, he stayed after he was supposed to have gone home, thankfully, because we needed to have him for something for a little while. But he told me a couple stories. He worked in a sideshow. I know he's gonna come on the podcast. I really hope, because he's such an interesting dude. He's got all these stories about when he worked at the sideshow on Coney Island. And so on the last day that he knew I was going to be there, he came in and he took out this bag and he's like, Phil, you want to see it? I was like, yep. So he takes out this bag and he pulls out a 5-inch long nail and a little tiny hammer. And he's like, all right. And he hammered that nail straight back into his nose.
Ooh.
And then he gets out the jar, and like he's got other things that go with it. But he gets out the jar, and he takes a 6-inch nail.
Okay.
And he does the same thing with the 6-inch nail. I've actually got a picture somewhere of me with him with these nails, just like nubs sticking out of his nose. It's wild.
No way.
I know.
That would sketch me out.
Yeah.
Crazy. Just start hammering a nail in your face. That's when I leave.
Act.
I
love it.
I don't hang around people that just start hammering nails.
You say that now because you're sober.
It's not for me.
That's why he's got to come on the podcast, is because I want to see you squirm.
I will too.
I knew. I thought of it too. I said, okay, with me and Jesse and Marianne and with Rob, Jesse will be the one squirming.
I will. Not cut out for it.
I love when
man.
Jesse gets uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to do. Yeah.
That's
boy.
Wild.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we probably ought to get wrapped up, and we can. Does anybody have anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
No, I think we covered a lot. It's nice to have you back, man. As soon as you can come hang out, just text me. We gotta do something.
I'll be there. Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for coming on. We'll get it going regular again, but hopefully we won't have any breaks like that again.
No, that was
no, should be good.
Yeah.
Unless Phil feels like he needs to save the world, then we're screwed again.
It's like Captain America.
All right.
Well, all right, everyone, have an awesome
Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share if you're checking it out on Facebook or on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and check out our next podcast. All right.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
See ya. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See ya.